Hello, everybody, and welcome to End to End, the podcast where we talk about all things pony and a few things not. Joining me today are the good Lightning Rabbit.
Hello.
Bad.
I knew you were going to say that!
Cabral095, sorry, I forgot to mention your name, but hey, whatever. The ugly, that's me, Duhad. And joining
why?
our guest,
So mean to yourself.
I know, I'm a jerk to me. But our very special guest, Pinkamena Diane Pye, at Psychopath number 7 and number 1.
Psychopath number 7?
Hi, everyone.
He's Scottish!
Yes, I'm sure people will figure that one out, given enough time.
Oh. Fine.
Anyway, Cabral, I believe you actually had a subject for the podcast that you were actually really looking forward to talking about.
I was looking forward to it? I just had an idea we could just talk about. That was about it.
Well, why
Either way, it'll work out. Yes, we're going to be talking about Pokemon. Why? I don't know. I guess because X and Y is coming out in the distant future. Why not bring something Pokemon related? Because Pokemon's the kind of game, if you grew up and did not play it, Lightning, then you have... No. But it's something that everyone grew up playing, because Pokemon was, I guess I could say, revolutionary, because it's actually almost 20 years old now.
I'm not really sure what revolutionary means, but yeah, no, it was pretty, culturally significant product.
It was something
It's one
different.
hell of a success.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, and once again, it's almost 20 years old and still going. Not as strong, but it's still going.
Yeah. So, actually, I have to ask real quick. I know it's not the point we were going to talk about, but really? X and Y?
Yes.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, X and
That's like
Y.
a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like they've gone through red and blue, gold and silver, diamond, platinum, pearl, and opalescence. I don't know.
Opalescence. There you go.
Now they're doing the older X and Y axis and things.
What happened to Pokemon Black Edition? What about gray and brown?
Well, no, there was Black and White 2, and then there was Black and Blue, but that was with PETA, and then there was this, and now there's X and Y. Yes, there is Pokemon Black and Blue. I've played it. It's stupid. It's very stupid at that.
I'm still feeling that Pokemon Brown and Gray Edition, the Pokemon Next Generation FPS would have been the best.
Now they have
I'm not
the
sure I want to know what
FPS
Pokemon Brown and Grey is.
Oh God!
But
There could be many things.
But yeah, so there's
An
X and Y
FPS.
now, and it's gonna be out for the 3DS, and actually it looks very interesting because it's a whole new aspect to it, because everything is now 3D. You're in a 3D world instead of that 2D platformer you're used to. It's all 3D now.
Huh? So it's like you're running around in third person.
Yes, it is. It's going to be a bit weird. I want to kind of play it though, because I want to know what the changes are going to be from the old 2D regular platformer to this. And plus, it's been a while since I got a new Pokemon game. I didn't get Black and White and Black and White 2 at all. I got Pearl and Diamond.
Hold on, I do have a quick question. It's been a while since I played a Pokemon game, but I don't think they're platformers. I think they're 2D.
Well, yeah, sorry, not platformers. I don't know what I was thinking.
Like, admittedly, I would probably play a Pokemon platformer because I love platformers. They are awesome.
Delta's terrible at them. He hates them.
Yeah, really.
Yes.
I grew up with Wario Land
Love
on
that.
Game Boy.
That was good.
Great little platformer, that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was really good.
But anyway, so it's going to be very interesting seeing X and Y come out. I don't know. The starters look interesting. The reason I didn't get Black and White and Black and White 2 was the whole looks of the Pokemon. I didn't like the way they looked at all. But with X and Y, I don't know. We'll just have to see. It looks very interesting. But you have available to you all 700 and some odd Pokemon now.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's 700 and some odd Pokemon.
Holy crap!
That's a great improvement.
Yeah, wow. I actually remember back when I was a little kid and I played Red and Blue and watched the TV show. I could actually name all 150.
I can name them all.
Yeah, it's just
Oh
like
my God.
there's no way you can count. Like, I don't think you can catch all 700.
If you
However
do,
many.
when X and Y comes out, and if you're listening to this podcast right when it came out, and you got all 700 and some odd Pokemon, let us know. I may get you something for no.
I'm sure there's like one person in the chat or like in the comment section who is going to go like, oh yeah, well, it's really easy because I've already caught all the Pokemon from all the other games, so I'm just going to transfer them over.
Actually, yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, but like, if you actually caught all 597 or however many there are right now, that's still ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And plus, there's also, you have to get Mew, and then there's Deoxys, and then there's some of the other rare Pokemon that are almost impossible to get sometimes.
Oh, Lordy.
Shaymin's one of the hardest ones to get because it's one of the ones that you can't actually get legitimately anymore because it's an event Pokemon.
Oh, really?
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's one of my favorites, and I was never able to get it.
I think I got Shaymin once. I think it was gifted me from someone. I was part of a Pokemon. I was part of a group of friends who played Pokemon a lot. And this guy, by chance, he goes into an old game store and he buys an Emerald version. Turns out he wants to see what was on there before. They have every single Pokemon, and they're all shinies. When he turns it on, used. He's like, what?
Legitimately?
Yes, legitimately.
How is that possible?
Probably not, but either way, he had them on his Pokemon game, and on Emerald. So he's like, okay, that's cool. So I actually have
caught a single shiny.
Yeah. So I actually have on one of my games, I have a shiny Charizard, I had a shiny Mew, I had a shiny Deoxys, a shiny Rayquaza, because I kind of borrowed them from him. Well, he cloned them. Anyways,
You can clone Pokemon?
yes, there was a glitch in various games. The second generation, you can actually legitimately clone Pokemon by turning off your game mid-save, and then it clones them in the PC. In Emerald, there's a certain Battle Tower feature where you can clone Pokemon. I showed it to my dad, because he was playing Pokemon for a long while. My dad's awesome. Anyway, but yes, so Pokemon's come a long way, and another thing also with Pokemon is a lot of people, when they think about it, like, oh, cute, adorable Pokemon. Well, not all of them are cute and adorable. Some will legitimately try to kill you or take you or steal you.
Yeah, they can be kind of jerks. But,
well, yeah, because Hypno, there was, in one of the Pokedex readings, there was actually a case of it stealing a child when it was hypnotized. When the child was hypnotized.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
In the Pokemon universe, it's legitimate. And actually, Japan made a joke about that. They had a shirt come out with Hypno walking children by the hand.
Oh,
Well, like pedo.
Wow.
oh my God.
Yeah, it was an official Pokemon shirt with Hypno and just children walking with it.
Pokemon, it will take your children.
Pokemon, it will steal away your children.
It kind of does. If people become addicted to it, then
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could say that.
And so that was one of the things. You're like, that's a bit creepy, but it goes a bit deeper than that with some of these Pokemon as well. I have a picture here somewhere for I was going to go over Haunter.
here we go.
Son of a bitch.
What?
Making
Yeah.
our jobs easy, harder, not easy, harder.
Well, yeah, I know.
Making our jobs easier by putting more pictures.
I'm
in
writing
the
down
session.
this stuff right now as we're speaking. Anyway, here's the picture. I want to talk about Haunter.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
It's creepy-ish. Anyways, I just want to read the description of Haunter. Its tongue is made of gas. If licked, its victim will start shaking constantly until death eventually comes. It is then you realize
Which cat is it?
Charmander was licked by a Haunter in the first few seconds of the intro to the series.
so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And then you wonder why Charizard
all
hates Ash.
Because he doomed his Pokemon to suffer from horrible seizures for his entire life. That's awful.
It is. And
Yeah,
Wow.
the jerk.
yeah, but in the Pokemon, I mean, just so they put it in the Pokedex that death eventually comes, and you're like,
Wow. That seems kind of dark.
yeah, it is. But and also the fact is that if you run to a Haunter in the wild, like if you live in the Pokemon universe, first off, it'd be a bit scary. Second off, if you run to a Haunter in the wild and it wants to lick you and you're running for your life, that's a bit creepy.
Yeah. Well, are they? Yeah, I know they're ghosts, but like they just like the ghosts of any Pokemon, or like the ghosts of like one species that's just gone completely extinct, and that's why there's. So
I
many of
really
this one
don't know because it evolves from Ghastly. But also, one interesting thing was comparing it to Gengar, because Gengar, actually in this little picture we have right here, which we can read next for Gengar, was actually what I was going to go over. But anyways, it's in the top 10 thingy I sent a while ago.
Okay, but
It's number 7 on here. But anyways,
that picture is actually a little too large to put in the chat. So why don't you send us a picture of Gengar to use for?
yeah, I can I can do that. So, but anyways, I'll just read the description of Gengar. But it's interesting because it's compared to a Clefairy. Sometimes on a dark night, your shadow is thrown by a street light. Hold on, writing down the timestamp. Dang it. Okay.
Damn street lights throwing our shadow.
I know. Will suddenly, by a street light, will suddenly and startlingly overtake you. It is actually a Gengar running past you, pretending to be your shadow. To steal the life of its target, it slips into the prey's shadow and silently waits for an opportunity. On the night of a full moon, if shadows move more on their own and laugh, it must be a Gengar's doing.
We think so.
Seriously, they must know, surely, when they put something like that in a game, that a kid's going to be seriously disturbed by it.
Yeah, but another thing also is when you catch a Pokemon, how many people actually go about reading the descriptions? I know I do, but a lot of people don't tend to go about reading the descriptions.
I'm going to do it now.
You're going to be doing it every time.
Yeah, I've been looking for it.
Yeah, every time now that I actually catch a Pokemon, I will legitimately read its description.
Yes. That's freaky as all hell.
Yeah, just imagine that, though, because in the Pokemon universe, there's legitimately ghosts that will come and try to eat you, essentially. Not eat you, but kill you, basically, and try to haunt you.
Yeah, that's so much better. And they're not gonna kill. They're not gonna eat you. They're just gonna kill you.
Either way, you're gonna end up dead or missing.
Body.
Yeah.
They'll just be alive while they're doing
there's a
it.
picture of Gengar already timestamped when it comes in, anyways. But there's a picture for you guys to look at.
Okay.
Anyways.
Isn't this the exact same
Yeah.
picture?
Actually, there was another ghost Pokemon I wanted to talk about. Where is it? Here it is. Oh, crap. Don't do that. Don't do that.
We don't have a picture of Gengar.
I just sent it for the benefit of the call.
No, you sent a picture of Hunter.
I sent the Hunter again? Dadgummit.
Yep.
Yep.
How could I do that?
Yeah.
At least I timestamped it. But anyways, okay. Dang it, I can't believe I did that. There, that's the Gengar.
Hey, Gengar. Oh, that's okay, cool.
Yeah, it is. It's neat looking. Gengar's actually a pretty neat looking Pokemon, but it's kind of creepy. Anyways, in this top 10 thing, they actually compare it to Clefable. Because I gotta go find a picture of Clefable now for you guys. See, I did all the other Pokemon. I didn't think I'd go into this kind of depth with them, so. We're so professional.
Yeah.
What is this top 10? What is this top 10 thing, by the way?
The top 10 thing is a list of like the top 10 freakiest Pokemon.
Most disturbing, yeah.
Yeah.
But internet's going slow. Anyways, it's talking about its comparison with Clefable, and it's saying how they kind of look alike because they have the same stubby legs, 3 little fingers, ears like that. They say it could be like a little dark-tinted Clefable sort of thing, or whatever.
Isn't like a Fable like a nurse or something? Because I think I remember in like the show like.
I think you mean Chansey.
Oh no, yeah, that's right.
You're thinking of
Chansey. Yeah. Okay, never mind. So, like that would actually kind of be interesting, thematically interesting if they're like the nurses and the soul-sucking demon ghosts.
Anyways, okay, here it is. Here's a picture of Clefable and Gengar. So.
They do look similar.
Yeah.
That's Clefairy.
That's almost strikingly similar.
Yeah, it is. And so it's just very interesting comparing that. But anyways, there was actually another ghost Pokemon I wanted to cover also, which is actually a newer one from Black and White. It is called, it's evolved from a Frillish and called Gillicent. It's a bit creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Writing down the timestamp. And...
Oh, lordy.
Yeah. Anyways, let me read the description of this Pokemon. It is actually a water ghost Pokemon. The fate of ships and crew that wander into Jellicent's habitat. All sunken. All lost. All vanished.
They're dead, Dave. Everybody's dead.
And everybody's dead. Hooray! Anyways, it kind of looks like the Pringles face to me.
Oh, yeah.
But it's still a bit... Yeah, it does. In the midst of being creepy, Pokemon are still happy and cheery.
It's the Pringle guy.
It's the Pringle Pokemon.
Hey, I'm hungry now.
He's gonna end us.
I was gonna stuff an entire can of Pringles down my throat.
I'm just gonna stuff an entire can of Pringles down my throat. But let's see. There's something else on this list too. Duskull.
Still kill it, man.
Yeah, Duskull. There was another one right there. I think I have an image for you guys to look at. I guess this one will have to do because I'm too lazy to go find another picture.
That it's like a little monk guy with a skull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This little monk guy with a
What's that
skull.
story?
Yeah.
Also, it looks like a very strange thing on his back. I'm guessing it's a bone shape, but
It
you
is
can't
a
see the other
bone-like
side of it. So
thing.
everyone look at that and tell me what you see.
Bone.
This is sort of like a bone. Yeah.
Damn it.
You and your mind, Lightning. Stop it.
Yeah, you.
Like a little phantom turnip.
That works. I think I know what you're aiming at, Lightning, and no, bad Lightning.
Bad Lightning.
I'm sorry.
Take that. Anyways,
That's the first thing I saw.
yeah, here's a description of Duskull. Duskull can pass through any wall, no matter how thick it may be. Once this Pokemon chooses a target, it will doggedly pursue the intended victim until the break of dawn. If it finds bad children who won't listen to their parents, it will spirit them away, or so it is said. It loves the crying of children. Who doesn't? Like, aww.
Okay, yeah, so I'm looking at it sort of a bit like a friar.
But, anyways, this will chase
It
you
only
until
it only
sunrise.
just occurred to me that it looked like that thing that used to chase you in Bubble Bobble.
Yeah.
Well, hey, yeah.
But,
A little creepy thing.
yeah.
I never thought about it, yeah.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
you know, it's just, this thing will just chase you until the break of dawn. So have fun with that. It'll take you away, and it loves you crying. Yeah.
Well, that's,
You know, for kids.
You know, for kids.
kids.
That's Pokemon.
You know, whenever I'm trying to target something for children, I try and make sure that the target demographic will know that the things that they're playing with are out to kill them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's go over something that won't try and kill you real quick. A Cubone.
Hey, aw,
Yeah,
Emma.
Cubone. Everyone loves
Aw.
Cubone, I think.
Yeah, throw a picture up for the chat, why don't you?
Yeah. For the benefit of the call, here is a Cubone.
The benefit of Mr. Phibbs, there's going to be a Cubone picture today.
Well, there has
Yeah,
to
there we
be.
go.
Anyway, there's a
There he
Cubone.
is.
So going over description, it pines for the mother it will never see again. Seeing a likeness of its mother in the full moon, it cries. The stains on its skull it wears are from its tears. It wears the skull of its it wears its mother's skull, never revealing its true face. We talk
Oh,
about
that's, that's been from horrifyingly, creepy to horrifyingly depressing.
it is because
It's gone to.
We're
I've seen
talking about
Cubone in a
mutilating
completely
his
different
mother's
light.
corpse.
Oh, yeah, hey, never mind, we are still on creepy. Gotta get the skull out.
yeah, exactly.
It's
'Cause
sad about
it
losing
is
its
so
mother,
creepy. It's
but it also
depressing.
kills its mother's corpse.
Yeah. It just went and ripped
Oh,
his
God.
skull out of his mother. I'm going to wear this.
It's the baits of Pokemon.
Oh, dear.
No, man. Okay. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So basically, it's sad about its mother dying, but instead of just burying its mother, it takes its mother's skull
It's not smart enough to
and
bury its
wears
mother.
it around the place.
Yep.
It is.
Honestly, that can't help the grieving process, in my opinion.
No.
It doesn't seem entirely healthy, though. That is probably the most incredibly, heavy metal way of mourning a past loved one.
I was going to say, that's what I intend to do if any of my loved ones passes on. I'm going to take their skull and wear it around the place. Seems like the natural thing to do.
Seems like the natural thing to do. And that's how you're going to go about doing it.
Yeah.
It works.
It worked in its own way. Sort of.
Yeah, as in you got arrested for wearing someone's skull on your face.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, they should. If the Ponymon mod is not completely dead in the water, they should incorporate these elements into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How so?
Ponymon?
Yeah, I played it.
Yeah, I was saying, like, yeah, they could.
Hey, are they
That-
being mercilessly slaughtered? They are.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, Kamal, you okay there?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. My computer may have just black screened on me. It's still running, everything's still working, except I can't see anything from my monitor.
Have you tried?
Keep talking. There it goes. There it goes. Now. Hey, there it goes. It's loading now.
Are you sure it didn't
Okay.
just go to sleep because you left it too long?
Yes, I'm sure. It's been recording. It kept recording our audios. There may have been a slight lag in one thing, but overall, it's trying to work.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't know what it's.
Trying so hard.
Yeah, no, Driver display isn't responding. Okay, there go all my tabs with the pictures.
Well, I think we were about done with those pictures anyway, and we've still got the
His computer is slowly dying.
Yeah, I know. It's a sign. Wait, no, it's coming back to life.
It's alive.
Anyway, actually, It's alive. Anyway, so that was just us cover. I mean, there were a lot more things about because there's a lot more Pokemon out there that are actually creepy and disturbing.
Billion of little buggers running around. So.
Yeah, exactly. And just imagine living in the Pokemon universe in general. You're sent out at the age of 10. Go, son. Go be free. Here's a Pokeball. Go catch something. Why? Is it going to eat me? Yes, it will try to eat you. Oh. In a world with dragons, ghosts, sharks, fish.
I have a question then. What would you say the hardest thing to catch would be?
In the Pokemon universe?
Yes.
A Snorlax.
No, I mean like properly, like to catch it with like real world.
I would have actually said
probably
that,
some type of
the humans would be the hardest thing to catch in the Pokemon universe because it would probably be illegal, and no one's ever tried putting them in a Pokeball before. But
actually they have. Probably the ghosts. Yeah.
Well,
the dragons also.
There was actually an episode of Pokemon that actually got banned in the States, pretty much because of what Amy was saying. Actually, they're like they visit Santa, and it turns out you know Jinx.
That's right. It was all about Jinx because Jinx was originally Pokemon. She was black.
She was black with giant red lips and
she had
huge white eyes, and there was an army of them working for Santa as unpaid labor.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I actually just sang bow down.
What are the chances of that?
Yeah. Bow down before the power of Santa, or be crushed by his jolly boots of doom. Right. Enough Invader Zim quotes.
Yes.
It's from Invader Zim.
I quoted that show once per episode.
Yeah, I think so.
I probably have by now. Anyway, but yeah, that was banned in the States for a while. Then they rechanged it so they're purple now. There was another episode banned because there were guns in it, which I don't understand. Because I watched the bit where they had subtitles, and so they went from a gun to what they call their deadliest weapon. They wanted information about where the Dratini was to this owner of like the Safari Zone or whatever. So they threatened him with a gun at first. Then they
the radio, ET style.
No, they didn't threaten him with the radio. They what's it called? They questioned him, I guess. Interrogated him. That's what it's called. They interrogated him, and then they brought in a tickle machine and called it our most deadly weapon. I'm like, what happened to the gun?
It's like, okay, the gun can kill you, but would you rather be tickled to death? That's the real way to go.
What they mean?
This is the real way to go.
I think that was Nintendo's attempt to lampshade the implications with the gun there. Holding him at gunpoint.
That's fair.
But, anyways, there was another episode banned for other reasons that don't really need to be mentioned in this podcast. There was actually one banned because it legitimately sent children to the hospital. Legitimately.
Oh, yeah, the seizure-inducing episode?
Yes, there was a seizure-inducing episode in Pokemon.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one, yeah.
I watched someone, they were talking about it, and they showed it in slow motion, so it was just like a frame every other second or something like that. The way it flashes between blue and red so fast, it's everywhere in the episode, first off, and then it just changes so fast. You're like, how would they approve this?
It makes my eyes hurt, and it doesn't even, I'm not even prone to see.
Yeah. Oh, my God, yeah, no, like, I mean, admittedly it was better than the original idea, which was to actually install a, thing in the signal where when the episode played, it just exploded out, showering the kids with glass, but it was still pretty bad.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we're about done covering some downsides of Pokemon. I still love the game. I'll keep supporting it ish. I don't know. I'm not supporting the show because it's now stupid. I watched a recent episode. It was stupid. I'd rather go watch My Little Pony than Pokemon.
Yeah, not in this show.
I've just remembered. What that other episode is that you didn't want to mention that was banned.
Oh, good.
Oh,
now leave it in your head.
I know what you're talking about. It's the one with the jellyfish, isn't it? Okay, let's not go there.
Yeah, let's not go there. Let's move on. Ponies.
Yeah.
Let's go on to ponies. We're about ponies,
Yeah,
aren't we?
I think that's
Slightly.
really something to do with the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, crap! I lost my internet tab. Wait, did I already send the picture? I might have. It was of Snowdrop.
Hold on. I can find the Snowdrop picture. Hey, everybody! Did you see that animation about the little blind pony?
If you didn't,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
Then this is going to be kind of horrific.
yeah, you're also a horrible person for not watching an animation about a blind pony.
Yeah, I know.
He was also young. You should have watched it by now.
It was the funniest thing I've
Yeah.
seen in weeks. If you haven't seen it, you're soulless.
Oh, wait, I found it. I have it. I had the picture. It was already linked in the chat.
Wait.
So for the benefit of the call, we are now going to talk about this.
Wait,
Snowdrops.
Just quickly, did you say the funniest thing you'd seen all week?
Yeah, I know. It's hysterical.
I don't
what?
know.
Hysterical.
How did you think this was hysterical?
I'm kidding.
I don't think.
Okay, I was about to say.
No. It actually is incredibly depressing and, very...
Oh, but it had
I want
a
to go
good
kill myself
point,
after
but then
this.
it went back down again at the end.
It's like,
Oh, adorable.
yeah, she
Look at her.
aw.
Yeah, and then Gene ruined
So-
it all. You know
Yeah.
what he did.
Everyone knows what he did.
She...
So someone give the brief, so we can all remember, what is the brief synopsis of Snowdrop?
Right, well, do you want me to run through it in lightning speed? Because I actually have it in my mind right now.
Because you are lightning, go ahead.
This is lightning speed run of an episode of Silly Face Studios' animation thing in a minute, or less, or more. Right,
And
so basically, there's
go.
a blind filly, and she is supposed to do something for this spring celebration thing to, like, honor the princesses for some weird reason, because it's like a dictatorship or something. And basically, what happens is she hasn't got a project, and it's due tomorrow, and she's supposed to be working with someone, but she isn't. And obviously she's blind, we've been through that already. And she goes and sits up on a cloud and is upset, and remembers back to when her mother was talking to her about making wishes on stars. So she wishes on a star, or something to that effect. And then her gift is a snowflake, like, perfectly carved. Well, I say perfectly carved. The one that she does...
No, she carves it herself. It's a little...
Yeah, it was like rudimentary.
It's a tear from her eye. She cries, it crystallizes, and she starts carving it with one of her feathers.
Yeah, and then the next day she's just like... She goes up to the... I don't know why she said that, but... Yeah, she goes up to the princesses at the celebration, and...
Take this!
To them.
She says.
Yeah, and then she's like... she says something like, let me be in on this because I have now made something. And the princess is really taken with it. And then it skips to, like, years later when Snowdrop, I don't know why I said Snowflake, is dead. And they're like, okay, this is the last snowflake in the world. And I kind of want to keep it. Luna's like, I kind of want to keep it, but they know that they can't keep it because it's not what she would have wanted, so they release it, and then it fades to black.
They release it into the wild.
Yes.
And that is my synopsis.
The thing
That took
amused
about
me
almost
was
2
that
minutes.
I was imagining you doing that bit in, like, your accent, like she's approaching the princess and saying that she's got this little thing and she couldn't get any mates, so that she didn't have a proper project. That's the most hilarious thing in that accent.
It's great. Oh, that's wonderful.
Anyway, yes, it is. It's an adorable story. Is all this? It's a nice, cute little tale, and that's about it, honestly. And it did.
Yeah, it's got some excellent animation, and it's really got a strong emotional core, which really sells the whole thing. The story itself is relatively simple. It's very much kind of a classic, Christmas season animated children's short that you'd kind of see, like Christmas special that you'd see in the holiday times. Yeah, and it kind of feels like that, and that works pretty well for for what they're going for.
Yeah.
The ending is horribly depressing, though. The implication is that her mom died sometime off screen, which is why she's alone on the cloud. And then
She was no. Her mother was there.
Oh, she was. Oh, right,
Her mother comes back at the end.
Right,
yeah.
that's right. Yeah, never mind. Well,
Honey, I'm back from the grave. The hunter tried got me, but I beat him with my right shoe.
That makes the whole thing more pleasantly depressing for me. So anyway, her mom's dead. She's living with her mother's abusive twin sister, who
Clearly.
I think you're thinking of a different story that was written by Disney a few years before.
Yeah. Anyway,
She lives with two stepsisters and a stepmother. Is that it?
probably. Anyway, the point is though that while she does end up delivering this thing, and she does end up getting in touch with Luna and stuff. The design differences between Luna when they have when she's given the snowflake in the first place, and the implication that it's really early on in their reign, it's only 100 years after they were first established.
Reign.
And the fact that Luna's dead. Sorry, Luna's dead.
Luna's dead. No.
She's got the mane that comes in later on, and apparently she missed her friend's passing. That kind of implies to me that she died while Luna was off on the moon, which adds a whole extra twist to that old knife.
On the moon.
I would also like to say, that's basically what I was going to say. I think that's really kind of like, I never actually thought about it like that, but that's an extra kind of tug at the heartstrings.
Yeah.
Although to be fair, that is what you get if you try and bring Eternal Night. So I'm not saying I'm not sympathetic, but I'm just saying that it is possible she brought it on herself.
Do you remember that little blind kid who you were so close to? She died without you being able to jump her.
Aww.
Next time, you won't.
She died of a broken heart. It's your fault, Luna.
She died cold and alone because you weren't there. Welcome back, that way.
Okay.
Welcome back, by the way. Anyway, Adorable Tale. I don't know why. I just love the scene where you have the little first snowdrop she made as a filling. She was blind, so she couldn't make them right. There's no right way to make them. Anyway.
Oh, I feel bad for saying that it was rudimentary and didn't look good now because I just remembered that she's blind.
Yeah. Looking.
I mean, it was very nice.
It was very nice in her own way. Yeah. But anyway, that snowdrop, we all loved it here. I take it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah. Hasbro could put it out in the Christmas special, and I wouldn't know the difference. The animation was so good.
Yeah, no, tell me about it.
Yeah, the animation was very well done.
Yeah, it was very pretty.
It was pretty.
A moment.
Pretty.
Alrighty. I believe we are going to take an intermission then.
Yeah, we'll take a break. We'll join you back in about sometime, however long this interview is.
Yeah.
So join us back in a little while.
Or else.
We will catch you all in just a moment.
And welcome back to End to End Presents an Interview. I'm your host, Duhad, and joining me today is Nonavelis. Again.
And again, it's non-avless.
No, non-avless. I was like going over that in my head several times before I began. I was like, I got it this time. And
Nobody
I just went
has ever gotten it right, so don't worry.
Yeah, I went straight back to using the wrong word. Anyway, so last time we were talking about G1 itself, the show and all that bits, and I think we're eventually actually probably going to touch base on probably the most iconic element of G1, which would be the films. But first, we're talking today in the main show about a person who does a lot of fan content. And I was thinking, you do a fair bit of work on various fan projects. So, what do you think about the whole G4 fan project craziness, like all the projects that are being done?
Well, getting into G4 My Little Pony, I've never been in a very big fandom like that. Like, the G1 fandom is definitely a solid fandom, but we don't run around producing things, we're all collectors. So it's definitely quite shocking to see so many people who are so dedicated to a show that instead of coming up with their own original ideas, they make all these projects based on this show.
It is fairly impressive, honestly. I mean, everyone knows about fan fiction and things like that, but the level that this fandom has kind of brought it to with the games and the
episodes,
animations and all that is crazy. It's really out there. But so obviously G1 didn't really have the same sort of thing. Obviously the fans of G1 are kind of more of the collector types, especially the older ones.
And back when G1 came out, we didn't really have the resources to do computer animated
it was much harder
episodes
to
or to
try and
code
do
video
this.
games or that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been actually pretty hard even back in G1 just to record something like we're doing right now. And, this is not exactly
Well, not
a
being born in
fancy
the 80s, I can't say that for sure, but I probably think so.
yeah, no, it would have been very difficult. But yeah, so no, assuming though that either just through going back in time with all the equipment and manpower needed, or by there being a huge Renaissance revival of G1 fans, in response to all this fan content. What would you like to see in terms of like your ideal G1, G2, possibly even G3 fan project? If they were kind of doing stuff on the level that the G4 people are doing.
I would like to see G2 get some fan-made episodes because G2 never had a cartoon, and I think it had a lot of potential.
Oh, interesting. So basically, like a fan season, or like even just a bunch of fan, OVAs of season 2.
Yes.
Or so not season 2, Gen 2.
Well,
Gen 2.
yeah, I understood what you meant.
Yeah, that would be actually kind of interesting. I mean, again, I spent the whole time up until our last interview thinking that Gen 2 was the second incarnation of the Gen 1 show. And now that I know that it isn't, I actually do feel like we kind of missed out on the ability to have had something really interesting, uniquely different for the second generation.
And it's not as though the second generation did not have its own main cast of characters or backstories for these characters because they were present in video games and I think maybe some comics.
Really? Huh.
So there was potential, it just didn't happen.
Huh, that is actually kind of weird, because I was like, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe they just didn't have a lot of stuff. I mean, sure, Transformers and a whole bunch of other things, took way flimsier premises and turned them into really successful television series. But I mean, like, I could sort of understand. The point is, though, I could almost understand if they didn't have anything to work with. But yeah, it sounds like they actually did. They had
No,
comics
there's
and
actually,
games.
I can't remember how many are in the main cast now, but I think there's a main 4 at the very least.
Huh.
With backstories and their own designed homes and hobbies, special talents, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that sounds like the perfect groundwork for a show.
I know. I mean, it's kind of like the exact same backstories as the characters from every other generation, sort of a thing. Well, except G1.
Well, yeah.
It was the lead-in to G3 and G4, but...
Yeah, well, to be fair, there are... if you're selling a show to kids, you're going to have a certain set of stock characters. You're obviously not going to have... you're not going to have, like, the accountant, probably, or the...
oh, no, definitely not.
Warbet pony. No, like, there are archetypes you kind of want to hit.
No, for G2 we had a fashionista like Rarity, her name was Ivy, and there was a dance instructor, a cook, and an adventurer / puzzle addict.
Wait, seriously? That's awesome. I was like, okay, you got a fashionista, that's fine. You got a cook, yeah, okay, fairly typical. Dance instructor, that's kind of new. And then you had the adventure. You had the Indiana Jones.
Well, she would have been sort of like Rainbow Dash, keen for adventure and fun things, but also fair. She liked puzzles.
I actually do like the little twist. It's like she's both the action adventure girl, but she also likes a good Sudoku puzzle.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their little hobbies. Indiana Jones enjoyed archaeology.
I think there was a school teacher too, but it's not coming to me right now.
Huh, that's actually kind of cool. They actually had a teacher as well. Yeah, and actually, I was going to, kind of huff and puff, about whole, like, nice role model for little girls. You had the cook and the fashionista. But it's like, that's actually awesome. They had, like, a teacher and an adventurer. That's awesome. That's actually really good.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. I would have watched it, to be sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, so now I'm kind of, now I'm sort of sad we didn't get this sort of stuff. But,
sorry.
Since we couldn't get that, and since it's probably unlikely that anyone's going to go back and go like, you know what, forget G4, let's just do something entirely based on one of the previous gens.
Yes, I don't think that's going to happen.
But if you could get, there are a bunch of people who take elements from previous generations. The Friendship is Witchcraft uses the Smooths as a major plot point in a lot of their stuff.
Which I cannot express how much I love that reference.
That is actually kind of cool. Even as someone who didn't really watch the original show, I did pick up on that. I was like, okay, that's pretty awesome.
The Smooths was the coolest thing when I was a child.
It sounds it sounds really cool. But now sort of thinking like, okay, we may not get that stuff, but we do have the Smooths being in Friendship is Witchcraft. We have a lot of the comics and Tumblrs and stuff have artists who were fans of the earlier gens who bring in villains and heroes from those. I know that Ask Surprise is a really popular Tumblr that and Surprise had appeared before G4.
Yes, Surprise was present in G1.
Yeah, it's the same with Firefly, because she was cut out of G4. A lot of people have actually kind of done things with reintroducing her in various little fan things and stuff. But if there's like a big team and they're like, we're going to do a Gen 4 thing, but you can totally throw in whatever element or elements from the previous gens, what would be kind of your wish list of things that you'd love to see people do with the previous gens, like do more with from the previous gens in a G4 project?
Well, first off, I'd like them to get it right that Twilight's ability to move from place to place by phasing out and phasing back in is called winking. That has a name. People need to use it because it's so cute too, right? Winking. And then my biggest one to bring things back from G1 would definitely be Bush Woolies.
Bush Woolies.
Bush Woolies never appeared in anything but G1, and they had a couple toys even actually, and they just need to come back. They were brilliant.
Oh man! Actually, I was wondering what those were because, as I said, I actually follow a couple of like little art Tumblr things, like the comic Tumblr things. And one of the ones that does a lot of references back to the previous gens actually did mention Bush Woolies a fair bit. And I was just like, what are these?
I believe the backstory for the Bush Woolies and how they came into the show was, I could be mistaken, but that the Smooths had taken away their home, and so they came to live with the ponies.
Huh.
But it's been so many years, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how that happened. That,
Smooths
or
refugees.
They were slaves for one of the bad guys, and the ponies rescued them and took them to their home.
Oh well, that's so much more cheerful. They're not refugees from a giant emotion-sucking blob destroying their home. They're just slaves that the ponies rescued.
My Little Pony was pretty dark. I can think of many instances of slavery throughout the show.
Oh God!
Even the backstory for some of the pony species, like there were toys with twinkle eyes. They were slaves in a mining thing led by some bad guy. I don't remember this very well, but and they actually spent so much time in the dark mining they lost their eyes, which were I know which were then replaced with sparkling gems.
That's horrifying.
And that's why they have gem eyes.
Oh my God! I thought the Sombra enslaving the crystal ponies thing was kind of dark. What the? What?
People don't understand how dark G1 was. It's even darker than boys' cartoons of the era. It's really quite different.
Wow. Holy Christ! Now I kind of want to see like the gritty reboot of like this previous with the previous generation. Now I want to see like, they took her eyes. Now she's getting revenge. Gem eyes.
Yeah, and Twinkle-Eyed ponies are so cute too, so it's like, wow, you guys come from such like abused roots.
The twinkle eyes. Oh man. Oh my man.
I just blew your mind.
I did. I gotta go. I'm gonna go. What I'm gonna do now is I was thinking about maybe watching the series after your recommendations. Now I'm gonna do that, but I'm also gonna keep a running tally of the number of slave races I find. It's like all this would not fly in today's on today's television tally.
To be fair, I don't think the gem-eyed ponies were ever shown as slaves in the show or getting their eyes replaced. Yes. But it was their backstory.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't see that. But like, I'm just gonna go through and just be like, you couldn't say this in TV these days. You couldn't do that. You sure as heck couldn't do that.
Yeah, probably.
Actually, I think earlier in this episode, Cabral was actually talking about Pokemon and some of the horrific backstories to them. So this is gonna fit right in. Oh man. Well.
Oh, I remember the original Pokemon comics were like so violent sometimes. It was so
yeah,
great.
it's dark as
It's
heck.
like, just cut off Arbok's head. That's fine. He won't miss it.
Jeez Louise. Yeah, no, I think I actually saw some of the clips of that, like some like little friends of that, and like, man. Well,
when you watch the cartoon, you don't realize how dark the manga it came from could be sometimes.
yeah, I kind of. See, that's the thing. A lot of shows from Japan kind of have that going for them, where it's just sort of like, yeah, here's the thing. No matter how dark this gets, this is the cut down version for American audiences.
Oh, yes.
Or Canadian audiences.
I remember watching anime like that they would air on the TV when I was a kid in English, and I would actually refuse to watch it because I could recognize how terrible it had been edited. I was watching Sailor Moon in Japanese when I was like 8.
Oh man, I don't even want to imagine how what twisted horrors appeared in that
Sailor
delightful.
Moon has its dark moments too.
I'm sure it does. I'm not even vaguely surprised. If Gen 1 and MLP had eye removal gems.
I don't think they worded it quite so gruesomely on the
I'm sure they
cards,
did.
but when you think about it, it is that gruesome too. It's like, yes, they spent so many years in the dark slaving away that they could not see anymore and had to have their eyes replaced by sparkly rocks.
Oh my god. Thanks for the nightmare fuel. I didn't sleep last night, and now I'm not going to sleep again tonight.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. All right, well, you know what? Next time we're going to talk. Next time I think we'll talk. We'll see if we can talk about the great smooths and the villains and the movies, because that's going to be a lot less dark than this.
Yes.
All right. Well, until next time, thank you so much for coming on the show.
I'm always happy to be here.
Moo.
Okay.
Okay, we're back.
Wait, we are? Oh, hey, everybody.
Yes,
Y'all
Pinkamena. It was
Hey,
already.
So,
So.
guess what, kids? This is, this is going to be why we brought on, Pinkamena. And unfortunately, that means that the younger members of the audience should probably take this moment to shove off, because things are going to get a little bit
Dark.
more.
Well, Pokemon was already dark. It's going to get darker than what we talk about with Pokemon.
Yeah.
Also, no one likes you. I mean, no.
Yeah, seriously, kids, let's be honest. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
just
want to
please,
see
please.
someone's guts strewn across the floors, then come and join us. But otherwise,
Come
stay
and
the
join
hell
us.
Yeah.
out.
Or have an adult with you, which will be very interesting, and have your parents listen to this if you actually go and get an adult. I need an adult.
Dude,
What?
because if you bring an adult, they will never let you listen to this podcast ever again. And what a tragedy that would be.
Yeah.
They'll make you quit
And then,
phony as
and
well.
then we're going to get sued.
'Cause, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what's going on in the show, which, here's a hint. Late at night, when you're asleep, there are episodes of the show that are totally like this. This is also canon. Okay, sleep tight, kids.
Anyway, so so here we are introducing Pinkamena. Hello, Pinkamena. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
All right.
I'm doing terrible now. No, but anyway, we are here to talk with you about, well, your Tumblr and some other things you want to bring up to the table.
Yeah, sure. I've wanted for a while to talk about grimdark as a genre and how people feel about it, because there's a number of websites that I go to where it has been completely censored. There's a gag order on grimdark. How do we all feel about it?
Honestly, I actually, for me, there are levels of grimdark, and it kind of depends on what level you're talking about. As a rule of thumb, I don't think that basically banning anything is a particularly great way of dealing with it, unless it's on a site that really is easily accessible to children. Like, obviously, like, I wouldn't want like horrifyingly I wouldn't want cupcake level things being put on like the hub or.
No.
I totally respect EQD not, posting. Occasionally, they actually do occasionally post some pretty dark stuff, but I respect them not posting a lot of.
But they put warnings up as well. So.
Yeah, and I respect that, because there are a lot. There's a wide age demographic that visits sites like EQD. But on the other hand, I I like a lot of grimdark stories, and grimdark, again, that label kind of can apply to a lot of different things. I tend to like a lot of grimdark stories that aren't really like super gore focused, but
I
still
kind of
very
like those
dark in their
ones.
themes. Again,
You mean like Fallout Equestria?
Oh, I love Fallout Equestria. Have you ever read Project Horizons?
I haven't. Is that like a spin-off?
It's the only spin-off that's been or it's one of only two spin-offs that have been recognized by the original author as being like canonical, follow-ups essentially. But it is extraordinarily dark, both in its themes and in its like the story itself. And I love that. I love that type of stuff. I think that it's there's a lot of things that you kind of have to go dark in order to explore, and I wouldn't want that type of thing being cut out of conversation just because it is dark.
I support the idea that EQD should not, show these things on their website, but I think there's some inherent hypocrisy when they will promote Fallout Equestria and its spin-offs when there are some far darker things than that than there are in Cupcakes.
Yeah, no. To be fair, again, like they post, they post Project Horizons on their things fairly regularly, and I'd say if I was to actually pick a song to be the theme song for Project Horizons, it would probably be "Give Me Shelter" by the Rolling Stones. And if you listen to that song, especially the two main verse lines, like the two things they really sing during the verses, I'm not going to say it, but listen to that song. That's in there. That's in there a lot.
Now I'm going to have to go listen to that.
The only thing I'd say in EQD's defense is that at least Fallout Equestria had this kind of like front that was like it had grimdark stuff in it to convey the story and help it along, whereas Cupcakes is more just a shock story. But
and then again, Cupcakes wasn't well written.
Yeah, again, the thing
Cupcakes was terrible.
Cupcakes was so bad, and the thing is, it isn't even funny bad. Like the puns are god awful. The writing structure is terrible.
Yeah,
and they don't really. There are a lot of really funny, like awful but funny stories out there. Cupcakes is just sort of blandly bad.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a ton of stuff that's come out of that or been inspired by that is actually ranges from the
better.
So bad it's good to be actually legitimately pretty good. But yeah, Cupcakes itself is just not very good.
Do you guys think that grimdark is damaging or demeaning to My Little Pony as a brand?
If I could take that question first, I guess from Hasbro's point of view, it would probably be damaging for that. But as a personal kind of preference, I'd say that, and this kind of goes back to the first question, which is, I think it was like, what's your view on it? Is I kind of like occasionally I don't mind just finding on FIM Fiction or something like that just the darkest story that I can. Just I don't know. I find it quite interesting to see a completely different take on the world, and that it's not all happy and sunshiny like it's normally portrayed as.
Like in California.
Yeah, which is again why I actually like dark stories. But again, there's a difference between. Again, it kind of comes down to the difference between where you draw the line between grimdark and gorn. Gorn being when you're, porn is sex for the sake of sex. Gorn is gore for the sake of gore, where there isn't really a story or characterization. It's pretty much just kind of a flimsy setup in order to allow for the most outrageous violence you can allow, and that's what Cupcakes did. I mean, the story behind that, the justification behind that is pretty damn flimsy. It's pretty much just there so they can get down to Pinky systematically torturing and murdering Rainbow Dash.
In my opinion, what you're describing right now is like the storyline to Hostel, which is in pretty much every critic's opinion gone as you describe it.
Yeah.
But I think that my work is a little bit more like the Saw franchise, which has a little bit more story to it, a little bit more characterization to it.
Like Little Miss Rarity?
Yes, she's actually one of the influences that I was going to bring up.
Okay. But,
we were
would
looking
like-
at her recently, yeah.
yeah.
Do you want me to bring up the link for her?
Yeah, why don't you throw the link?
If you
Yeah,
could,
why
yeah,
not?
'cause I don't
We'll
have it
show
on
a
me.
little example of the
Is there
artwork.
a
Again,
picture we-
before that artwork goes up, again, NSFW warning. This is,
Yeah, well, let's not
Well-
pick one of the slightly
Yeah.
more...
We're not going to pick anything with people actually getting gutted, but even so, just
Yes.
general art
or
stuff
worse.
is pretty on the disturbing end of things.
Alright,
Yeah.
there you go. There it is there.
And we'll throw that link into the description.
Yeah, Little Miss Rarity.
Just in case you ever wanted to
Just
go
in
there.
case you're curious-minded. No, but I've read Little Miss Rarity, some of it. I was in a call with Lightning and Duhot. They're like, how can you read this? I'm like, I'm enjoying because I want to know where this story's going. Because this is one of those grimdarks where there's a big story involved. Well, bigger stories than most other just pure dark stories. And so, you know, it's I enjoy. Story is king for me. I love to find out what's going on in a story. I love making stories and knowing how they work. So that's why I was enjoying this Tumblr series.
I'd just like to quickly make another point. It's actually been updated, and I'm actually reading the new panels now. Cause this is
Yeah, I
quite-
kind of want to as well, but I'm not going to yet.
Yes, the point is, though, that yes, no, Little Miss Rarity and your own Tumblr, which, by the way, why don't you explain what your Tumblr is real quick, because we have actually introduced you, but we haven't actually gone into what you do personally.
Oh, yeah. What I do is, I was inspired by these particular characters, and I wanted to basically make a blog which believed in being in character and preserving anonymity for the sake of, making it as if that it may well be harm that's typing it, if you want to believe that.
Sorry, I think you got a little bit, your mic got a little bit scrubbed there for a second. Can you repeat that last sentence? Pinkamena?
Oh, hi.
Yeah,
Hi,
sorry,
how are you?
Your mic kind of filtered a little bit there. You mind repeating that last bit about trying to keep in character, but...
Oh, yes. I think that it's very valuable for a blog to remain in character so that the people that want to suspend, their disbelief and believe that they're actually talking to a fictional character, I want to give that experience to them. I think that makes for a more compelling blog.
Yeah, no, definitely trying to keep in character, even in situations where the characters are acting horribly out of character, is sorry, lost my thought there. Yeah, no, even if the characters are acting in a way that's totally different than the way they act in the regular series, trying to maintain the voice and feel of the characters is very important for maintaining a semblance of keeping kind of the reality of the world that you're in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I also believe that interactivity is a huge thing because I think that the reader of an interactive blog like an Ask blog should have as much influence in the story as the writer.
Yes. And you do all of you both write and do the art for this Tumblr, or?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, very impressive. The art style is striking.
I loved your art style.
Thanks very much. It's very much based on Little Miss Rarity. I think if you look at them side by side, there's quite a lot of
I can
likenesses.
Yeah, you can definitely see inspiration being drawn from there. But your style actually does have a slightly distinct look to it, which is good. It's good to have a style that is both taking inspiration from something that you really respect, while also giving it your own feel.
Yeah.
I'd love to think that I have my own identity now.
Yeah.
I've been at it for quite a few months now, so I hope that I've established a wee bit of a flavour with it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Now, again, this is actually a good example of what I was talking about. The you mentioned this yourself, but I'll kind of build off that. And that Cupcakes is basically nothing but it's a very flimsy setup in order to get to murder, violent murder. You take basically the exact same setup, Pinky is a murderer, in a really similar style, but you actually do seem to have a lot more of a focus on characterization and storyline, and there's more.
Yeah,
because
also the beginning of your
and realism as well.
Because the beginning of your Tumblr, you had Pinky lose her cutie mark, which intrigued me to start reading your Tumblr. So I don't know if you had read that.
Ah, right,
no?
okay.
Okay.
No, go ahead, Piggy. You were saying?
Me?
Yeah, you were saying. Sorry.
Yeah, sure. I think that realism is good as well because Pinkamena, she has to earn basically all the things that she wants to use. She doesn't have a pre-made medieval torture chamber at the bottom of Sugar Tube Corner, which I have seen, or a context-sensitive portal where she just says, I would really like a big machine gun and a sword right now.
There are some stories like that.
I think that's a little bit silly.
That was they use in Star Trek, the materializer, but the computer, bring me, make me a cup of Earl Grey tea and a torture chamber with stretcher.
You can make anything.
No, actually, it actually kind of reminds me in a good way of sort of the early seasons of Breaking Bad with kind of having to basically go like, no, you can't just create an infinite supply of everything you want. This is the real world. You have to kind of work at that stuff.
It's not like Modern Warfare. You can't have unlimited ammo. Wow.
Yeah, because again, like the logic of cupcakes kind of goes straight out the window when you kind of look at it in the way that Thin Flame Philosophy's Rainbow Dash Presents
Cupcakes
kind of pointed out, essentially. What was that?
That was hilarious, that one. I loved
the
that.
Biker Gorilla is still my favorite.
If you think about it, it really makes a lot of sense. It's like she's built an entire torture chamber in the basement of a store she works in. How do her bosses just not notice that?
Unless they're dead.
She's just bringing in like the supplies.
Disrespectful for her highly developed fantasy life.
Yes, it's just oh god, yeah.
She's bringing whips into the basement again. Oh, leave her alone.
Leave her alone. It's her choice.
She's just being Pinkie Pie.
Oh god. You just said that thing about Mr. and Mrs. Cake, and I had to resist the urge to make a. That's how pumpkin and pound were made.
Oh god.
You're terrible. And there it is, people. The joke of the day, highlighted by Duhad.
Duhad's real thoughts shining through.
Everyone give him a round of applause.
I'm sorry.
And you told me off.
I know. Oh,
hypocrisy is this?
I know. I'm
You
awful.
are very awful.
Person. But anyway, point is, that's an example of how not to do it. If you're a fan of Rift stories, which I am, basically stories that kind of gotten the Mystery Science Theater treatment of
those stories.
Fought for those type of things. Yeah, fought for those kind of things, especially like the kind of the big Rift guy, rather homely. A lot of the fodder for those comes from these really bad Gorn stories that throw characterization, realism, credibility, story, everything just straight out the window in order to get down to the stuff and end up creating horrible plot inconsistencies and just mind-boggling stupidness, which ends up a lot more funny than shocking.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, you might find one thing interesting, that I don't actually like torturing ponies.
A lot of people don't.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
Huh.
So you might be wondering why exactly
Because it's
I do
different, interesting, and it attracts your attention?
Because it's
Different. Everyone's doing it. Do you know how many Pinkamena
A lot.
tumbles there are?
there are a lot.
So many.
Yeah, a lot.
So why do you do it? I actually am I'm kind of curious now.
I've always been interested.
Everyone
about
gather
this.
around, he's
Most
gonna
of the
tell us a
people
story.
Behind the tumblers.
Well, it's the fan idea that they've made this character Pinkamena. I've become infatuated and really interested in this character. And the way I look at it is, I want to draw her, but she can't help who she is, and I shouldn't stifle her doing what she does. I just have to document it.
I actually get that occasionally when I write. I'll occasionally start writing, and the actual events of the story kind of get more dictated by what just seems to be the natural flow of events more than personal.
I just make stuff up as I go.
Exactly.
That's how I write. It works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can, yeah, but no, that actually does make sense. Which is, another reason, and I have the similar thing happen. I've written a fair number of stories where characters I really like get murdered. I haven't actually written anything for MLP yet.
Yeah, just wait for the main character to die in that.
But yeah, but the thing is, my characters have especially the characters I really like, have a tendency of dying, not because I want them to die, but because the story just kind of flows the way it does, and a lot of times. The most natural, next step in a story is then this would happen. This is what would happen. And, if you want to stay true to your story,
just
that is what will happen.
Sense.
Yeah, pretty much. Know your character, know what they do, and let it go.
Let's see.
But, yeah, it is interesting to actually kind of take that into consideration when you're talking about a psycho blog. But if you go only at that, it's the story of a fairly psychotic character, and if you actually kind of follow their motivation and reasoning, it just kind of, I guess it would just sort of turn into a bloodbath as they slowly work through their, how their brain, tells them, what to do.
Well, the thing is, it isn't just that. I like to think that she is first and foremost a sadist. My Pinkamena that I made. But I want to, portray, the relationship that Rainbow Dash has with Scootaloo?
Yeah.
Well, Scootaloo is actually the accomplice in my blog, and I'm using her as a way to bring out Pinkamena's more tender and loving side. And, there's other sides to it as well. I don't want to have a 2D character like you're talking about in GOM setups and stuff.
That's good.
I want her to have problems and flaws and have moments of weakness and breakdown and stuff.
Yeah. There is actually a weird problem with a lot of gore stories and a lot of dark Tumblrs in general, where the writers end up kind of falling in love with their murderers, with their villains essentially, and the villains end up essentially becoming kind of dark Mary Sue's. The term Mary Sue, for those who don't know, which I don't know how you wouldn't know if you're on the internet, but it refers to a character who is basically too perfect. They have everything go their way, everyone loves them, and those people who don't love them, either everyone loves them or everyone hates them and they're a martyr. But either way, the people who don't like them are all villains and deserving of punishment. The people who do like them are good. The characters that the author really likes all fall in love with them, et cetera, et cetera. They're basically just a author, either an author insert or an author fantasy.
It's a huge pitfall for beginner writers. I've fallen into myself, actually.
Yeah, and the thing is, when it comes to murder stories, one of the things, I actually love a really good villain story. But one of the problems I have a lot of long-running villain stories is the creators fall in love with their killers. And as much as I love a good killer story, I also have a strong sense of, kind of justice. It's I don't want to read this whole story about this just morally reprehensible person, and then at the end they walk up into the sunset because the author really liked them, and so they get a happily ever after with no consequences.
Yeah.
And, that'll happen a lot. People will just be like, oh, yes, because they're so good at being a murderous, crazy person, they'll just never get caught, and they'll kill all the detectives because I don't like them as much as I like my hero, and then they will skip off into the sunset, leaving a trail of gore behind them to all get pinned on one of the characters I don't like as much.
Yeah. I would actually say I do kind of like the idea of, particularly with, I'm going to say mentally unstable as the word I'm going to use to describe it. Yes, hello, AR. The whole idea of descent into insanity and how that's handled by a writer is something that fascinates me, because obviously no one can really...
Lightning, have you read the
really
story?
understand what it's like to be.
Yeah,
insane
Lightning, have you read the
unless
story
they are.
Veil of Thoughts? I think I shared that one with you.
I think I might
That was
have,
the one
but
where-
it's been a while since I read.
Yeah, that was the one where Rainbow
fanfiction.
Dash and Twilight Sparkle fused into one body and their minds were meshed together.
Oh yes, I did remember.
Yes, that
reading
was a good
I
one
think
for-
I read that.
Wow,
like,
that sounds crazy.
I read that a few months previous, and then you linked it to me, and I read the rest of it because I realized they'd updated it.
Yeah.
Um,
But once again, that was a good description of the way they made their character, Rainbow Dash and Twilight especially, go sort of to insanity and make the and it was just well done, and I enjoyed it a lot.
yeah, I mean, I like the way. Yeah, I'm kind of fascinated with the whole idea of someone starting out normal and then descending into some sort of insanity, or just someone being insane in their day-to-day thought process, etc.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like the way it's handled, because if it's handled well, it can, it's really a very effective portrayal of what it's like to be in that situation.
And actually, Lightning, a story you might really like then, I'm reading right now, is First Pony View, Pony in the Mirror. I think it's written by Sumi Brony right now. Anyways, you would really like that story. It's so well done. Basic idea is you have a 20-year-old guy, wakes up, he is now a unicorn filly. And the world is a mix of My Little Pony and human. So he knows the show, because the show existed when he was human, or so he thought he was human. But he doesn't know what's going on, because it's a mesh of ponies and humans, and it's very well done in everything that goes on in his mind, and how he's going slightly insane, but still trying to keep it together, sort of thing.
Actually, I'm going to bring up a less positive example, and this is actually one that I need to talk about it in some format for a while now. It's a story I started reading for a while.
Quick, everyone, run!
It's a story I started reading a while ago, and for reasons that, for a while couldn't, kind of elude me. Like, I really liked it for a while, and then I started not liking it.
What story was it?
The story. All right. So first of all, do any of you know the anime series Death Note?
Yes,
I've heard about it.
I've
That's
heard
about
of
it.
I've heard of it.
Okay, it's I don't particularly like anime, but it's one that a friend of mine who is really into anime tried to get me to watch in order to show me that not all anime was bad. And while it's not, it kind of dips back and forth between being actually really excellent and being kind of melodramatic and not very good. But I'd say overall it was pretty decent. It kept my attention long enough to get me through both seasons of its run. And basically the general idea, and the idea is actually, probably the best part of it, is the story about a young, vaguely sociopathic man with a firm belief in, kind of the rule of law, as well as a very great ego, who manages to get his hands on a book called the Death Note, which, if you write a name in it and you see someone's face, and then you write a person's name, they will die either 5 seconds later of a heart attack or in whatever way you write in the book. And this guy, this very intelligent, very, egotistical guy basically looks at this and goes, you know what? There's so much injustice in the world. I am going to become the judge, jury, and executioner of this world. And he begins, killing people who break the law. Which
that sounds interesting.
And the thing actually, again, that's pretty good. And what's even better is the response by the world governments is actually really logical. It's essentially, this is, he's killing criminals, but this is a vigilante just murdering, tons of people. We're going to set up a task force to try and deal with it. And it ends up becoming this, kind of chess game, this battle of wills between the secret detective force that's trying to, track this guy down, and the killer, who is, our protagonist, who is trying to, carry out this idea of creating a world without crime, while also slowly becoming more and more amoral as he tries to find and kill the detectives before they can find him. As he slowly starts going from people who break the law are villains to anyone who's against me as a villain.
So when he writes down their names, does he have to know the first and last name, or just the first name?
Yes. Now he has to know the first and last name, and he has to see their face. Like, those are the only requirements, but those are actually, used as part of like kind of setup for the detectives who keep that stuff hidden. But
Very basic storyline.
Yeah.
Very simple storyline, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fairly simple, but it's done well.
Yeah,
but
all stories taken down and dumbed down all the way are simple storylines for the most part.
Yeah, but anyway, the point is, it's a good setup, and it was used pretty effectively in like the first half of the series. Then it kind of fell off a bit for the second major arc of the story. But whatever. Point is, decent setup, and someone decided to make an MLP fiction version of it.
I remember that.
Yeah, they set up Twilight as the murderer character in the series was Light, and in this one, Twilight takes on the position of Light, with Lyra taking on the position of the head detective. And it's actually and again, I started reading this story, and for a while I was really invested in it. Like, it was well written, the characterization was good, the justification for the justification could be a little bit weak at times for why characters kind of went down the darker paths that they do, but it still worked well enough that I was still invested. And for a good long while I was really following the story and really enjoying it. But I started to lose interest around I couldn't quite figure out why until I kind of came to a realization, and the realization came through reading one of the author's notes, where essentially the author was going like, I really liked the original series, but I think that Light, the killer, was taken down too easily. My Twilight is, far smarter than that. It's not going down so easy. And I realized this guy really believes in the killer. Like, this guy, he's 100% behind the murderer as the protagonist. And this is after Twilight had, set up Rarity to kill Pinky before killing herself, like doing like all these horrible amoral things. And he was 100% behind her.
Yep.
I was like,
why not? Why not?
yeah.
Recording.
Well, why not? Why not love the villain?
Oh, I don't mind loving the villain.
I'll ask him.
I can get behind the villain, but the thing is, I kind of got the feeling that he wasn't going to bring down like there's no retribution, down the road for this character. Like, she was going to make. I had a strong feeling that she was going to make it out after like 30 chapters.
30 chapters? Wow.
God, the story is very long. Like, I stopped reading it around like chapter 22, and I got the strong feeling that like by the end of this incredibly long story, Twilight was pretty much going to make it out just fine. After murdering her friends, selling out, like setting up Spike to hate Rarity for something that she didn't even do. Like, I think like she actually like sets up a situation where Fluttershy kills Sweetie Belle. It's like all this just awful amoral stuff, and
no sort of
and from what I was reading from the author, Twilight was basically going to just skip on out after everything was done. Like Light by the end of Death Note, I think the second major arc of that story kind of fell apart a lot. The finale was actually pretty good in that it kind of set up a situation where it's like he won. He got what he was looking for. He set up a situation where pretty much, most people were too, dead terrified to commit crimes because they thought they'd get murdered. So he won, but then he also got horribly killed. So, it's sort of a situation where justice is served, but also the villain had a point and the villain kind of got his way. And I can like that. But like, the feeling I was starting getting from this story was this was going to be a really long story, and eventually there'd be no, satisfying payoff for, all of the morally reprehensible things that she was doing while hypocritically arguing that she is the highest moral authority.
I tried to do the opposite in one of my recent posts, where I sort of left Pinkamena in a very vulnerable situation.
Pinks, you're kind of breaking up a little bit. Can you say that again?
Sure. What I did was I placed Pinkamena in a very vulnerable situation in one of the recent blog posts where she'd been captured by a secret service that had caught up to her.
Ooh.
And the idea was that I wasn't going to intervene, and the people that do judge her would be able to give her bad advice or tell her that she should die and they should kill her, you know?
Yeah, leave it up
Or
to the readers, yeah.
Or that she'd be saved. I left it up to them pretty much.
Fancy.
And
Interesting.
I'm still doing it, so she
Yeah.
survived.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, like, if the readers are 100% invested in, like, yeah, this is awesome, and like, let's keep going. Like, we're not done yet. We're on her side. That's fine. You know, I'm not saying that it's necessarily, you know, a wrong way of going about things. I'm just saying that, you know, you ask me what I think of Grimdark. I don't mind it, though I do kind of draw a line at, you know, personally. I don't think that other people should be like, oh no, see, it crossed Duhad's line. Poo-poo, it's not worth reading.
I will actually say just quickly, writers who do that whole, you know, bias towards one character, and that character will get everything they want and will get away with horrible crimes and things like that, unrealistically in a story. I think that's up there on my list of things with people who self-insert really badly. Like that one guy and that one story that I couldn't find the link for again. I'm going to keep referencing
He's that one
him
guy
now.
now.
That's going to be a staple
If you're
for
listening,
this.
you are that one guy.
One guy.
How
Yeah.
about My Little Dashi? It's the classic
It is.
self-insertion
I know the
thing.
author.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
awesome.
A tactical self-insertion.
Yeah,
Yes.
actually, Cabral, why don't you explain the kind of funny thing about Rob K.
So Rob K. Grant 53 is the author of that
Little
Little
Dashi.
Dashi. He's actually a good friend of mine, and I have him on Skype. I talk with him on occasion. He does newspaper stuff. Anyway, so the point is that My Little Dashi was inspired from a comic series that some of you may know from his story. He sat down, wrote it in about 8 hours, and then he submitted it somewhere and went to bed. The next morning, he's like, that was a stupid idea. Goes to take down the story, goes to work. He comes back home. He has 40 emails about the story itself, saying, why'd you take it down, and stuff like that. He's like, okay, puts it back up, goes to bed again. Next morning, wakes up, he's got like 400 emails about the story. Now, the thing is, it got popular through word of mouth. But another thing, he hates My Little Dashi. It is not his favorite story. He doesn't like it at all. And he doesn't understand why people like it. He doesn't. Yeah.
Neither do I.
I like the story. I think it's a nice little story. It's definitely not the best story out there. It's definitely not my favorite, but I do like the story. It's a nice little tale. However, yeah.
But I just love the fact that one of the most beloved stories in the fandom that like it kind of does have some polarizing elements and stuff.
No,
the author just
like his
doesn't
story.
like it. He's just like, you know what, this is awful. Why were you like this?
I was a
will
little
say, actually-
offended by it.
Yeah.
In what way would you say?
Well, I was offended by it because, sorry, excuse me.
I know.
Yeah, I was offended by it
Shush.
a little bit.
Go. I'm
because,
recording. I'll be out there soon.
Because of the self-insertion element. Like at the very beginning of the story, this guy, his life is depicted as being extremely dull,
Sad.
extremely sociopathic, hermit-like. His life sucks. It's repetitive, etc., etc. And it struck me as if he was the reader. It was being implied that he was your average brony.
Yeah, that's a really fair point. I actually, and I'm like, as much as you don't like My Little Dashi, you would probably not want to compare. Like, it would still be considered incredibly unfair to compare with some of the stories I mentioned. But there's a couple of stories like My Second Life and Living the Dream. They're like blatant self-insertion stories, and they do the same thing where it's sort of like, life is awful, humanity sucks.
Yeah.
People are douchebags, but Maloney is so.
Come on, guys, lighten up, you know?
Yeah.
I will
That's
actually say,
fine.
yeah. I will actually say My Little Dashi. I read it, and see, the thing that I could never understand, and every time I talked to people who liked the book about it, they would just, like, moan at me and say, are you some sort of heartless person? Because I wasn't moved by it at all. And there are
Yeah.
people, I see like readings on YouTube of people who get to the end and they're actually crying like really badly, and people are saying, "Oh, it was such a moving story," but I don't really feel anything for it, especially once
Yeah.
I'd read it again and I realised that because he didn't like it himself, Rob Cakran, it's kind of, it wasn't fully polished, so some of the language isn't right in it, some of
Yeah.
like the spelling stuff and whatever, but it's
I
more
did
the
cry.
fact that
It did make me cry, but it was an intentional tearjerker at the end.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
the
Yeah, it
two
was.
were parting
It made
ways.
me teary-eyed as well.
It was a very much an engineered emotioneering is what it's called. But,
that's the thing. I felt a bit like, I don't know why I didn't cry, but I think one of
Yeah.
the things that I thought about afterwards was the fact that I also wasn't moved by it because I knew that it was kind of deliberately trying to
Yeah.
tug at my heartstrings. Because you
And-
get some things that, like, I read Lunacy, and it's not the most amazingly well written, but it's basically Luna goes insane and kills herself. But the ending bit,
Oh, okay.
without even, that's a quick summary. But yeah, the ending bit genuinely made me sad. Even like, not unintentionally, but it was hidden. It wasn't like you are supposed to be sad at this point in the story,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
in that.
And actually,
okay.
Lightning, I remember when, because you and me, we did a reading of it with, who was it, Olivia.
Mm.
You remember that? And then we were going over, and you were talking while we read some of the paragraphs. You're like, see, here is where we're starting to build emotion. I'm starting to get into it, and then it just goes, oh, my life is horrible again. And then
Oh,
it
that
starts.
was it. Yeah.
Yeah, because
That
you
was the
said
thing
it
I
starts
said.
building that up where you start getting into it, but then it just goes back to oversaturizing life is horrible.
That was the thing. Yeah, that's the point that I forgot about that I made before was
Yeah.
that it starts to get emotional,
Yeah.
but then the guy comes in and keeps doing the "oh, woe is me" act,
Oh,
where
woe
it's
is
like,
me.
but all of these terrible things have
Yeah.
happened, and it's all my fault. The world is terrible.
Yeah.
I let her run away. It's all bad for me, and it's just
God. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the problem. Is
But,
that it gets like that.
You know what I hate? I hate stories with main protagonists who blame every bloody thing on themselves. It's
Yeah.
like, oh God, this person got hurt. It's so my fault.
It
Oh my
must
God.
have been my fault.
Oh my God! You know what story I friggin' cannot stand, though it's actually relatively popular.
Is it
And
mine?
no, it's.
Okay.
Have any of you ever read Memoirs of a Reality Jumper?
Nope.
No.
I have heard of it, but I've never read it. What happens?
It's
People
basically
die,
does
Lightning.
self-inserty as you can get. It's almost like a mature version of My Little Dash in some ways. Basically, it has a really promising setup. It's a guy who quantum leap style, well, not quite quantum leap style, but he's like jumping between various realities.
And he ends up
And he goes like
becoming-
on like these adventures before the story begins, and like he's been
going on
battered,
an adventure
bruised.
to the bathroom. Away! Sorry.
Yeah, but the thing's like every jump like takes longer. But like he's basically perpetually in the same age because he's living at the speed that like of his home dimension, but each dimension he goes to, each jump takes longer. Like he spends more time in that dimension, but it's always relative to what it was to his home dimension. So like the first place he jumps takes like he's there for 5 seconds. And then he jumps to another dimension where he's there for like 10 seconds. But even as he's there for 10 seconds, he only ages 5 seconds, and time in his home dimension only travels ahead 5 seconds.
That
Right.
sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool concept. And the thing is, he eventually ends up in Equestria at the point where he's basically going to be there for like 60 years. Like, time has moved ahead so many times.
So where was he for 30 years?
He was basically in a semi-fantasy fascist dimension thing where, like, the story begins with him running, escaping from a prison, running through the snow, being hunted by dogs,
Oh,
just before
Pokemon.
he's about to jump.
You'd really want to make sure that you're
Oh,
just about to
he's in
jump at that
France.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Point is, really interesting setup, kind of cool, like things. And the character at first is actually pretty likable because he's like this guy who's just gone through these horrible things. Like he has a family back home, but like even though he's only been gone for like a month, he's like for them he's only been gone a month. For himself, he's been gone for the equivalent of a couple of years at this point. And like he's just years and years and years at this point. But like he's like just at the end of his rope, and he finally ends up in Equestria. And at first, there's kind of some cool stuff with like him kind of having to adjust to being essentially this deeply emotionally broken, mentally damaged guy trying to reestablish a life for himself in a relatively stable environment. And that's like the first 5 chapters, and then there's like 20 chapters of basically nothing happening but him being this massive Mary Sue. Like he's like, oh, I'd like to eat a hamburger, and like the bunny's like, oh no, me, and he's like, I am so horrible. What type of monster am I? I need to go and sulk now until they come and give me a hug to make me feel better.
See, that one particularly is quite annoying because it's like, oh no, I'm so sorry that I forgot that that's what I'm supposed to eat and disrespected their customs because it's my nature. Oh, what a terrible person I am.
Yeah, there's all this just moaning about like, oh, what horrible beast are humanity? What terrible person am I for having been mentally scarred from being tortured for 20 friggin' years? It's like, come on, dude, you have a perfectly valid justification for being miserable. You know, you don't have to, then make yourself more miserable by blaming yourself for everything that happens because you're miserable.
Yeah. Anyways,
I remember, but there was a just quickly. There was a story, and I can't remember what it was
there's so
called.
many of them.
But it did that sort of humanity is terrible thing really well. Now I really genuinely can't remember what it was called, but
Anthropology?
It's like no, it wasn't anthropology. It was there was this spaceship, and it was a slightly strange concept.
So
but
far,
the idea
so
was
good.
it was U.S. Marine type people. And they were on this like quantum dimension jumping ship that had just been invented. And because it had just been invented, it instantly crashed, and everyone aboard the ship had died apart from one guy called Shane. I think it was Shane.
Shane!
I think it was Shane.
Shane!
And it was the idea that, yes, thank you.
Shane!
He landed in Equestria, and instead of, because he basically was brought back from the brink of death by the surgeons and things in that world, he kind of woke up, and instead of having what normally happens in those human and Equestria stories where it's like, they'll be shocked or scared or something, because he's a US Marine, he like breaks out of the thing, and I think he's got a gun at this point, and he's just going around.
Where did he get a gun?
Genuinely being scared and like,
was he hiding in his underwear?
Holding people hostage just to try and get away.
Yeah.
And I like some parts of it aren't as well written, but most of it is very kind of convincing. I think they've just gotten to a part, I think it was chapter 7, where they're looking at the wreckage, and it doesn't invoke as much emotion as I think it could do, but I definitely feel something, and it's quite a nice story just to kind of read,
hungry.
Even if it's not
or it's
the most emotional thing in the world. But it's like it's a subtle thing, like the fact that humanity can be a really terrible thing, because they're all looking through all of these devices like iPods and things, like, they're having looking at, oh, this is an amazing thing, it can play music and stuff, and then they find like a 50 caliber machine gun, and they're all looking at that and wondering how it works, and they're like firing off bullets and stuff. And it's like,
ponies?
Yeah, they're like
how do they pull the trigger?
Like, I don't know. They're probably unicorns, aren't they? They can probably do that. But the scientists are just like, we've discovered this thing in the spaceship as well. This thing can punch through like anything that we have.
Follow the criteria. Guns, they work.
Yeah, and you just think like, in the back of my mind at that point, I'm thinking, yeah, they could really mess up that, like, this world if they brought all of the stuff that humans have had in there. And he's been constantly saying that humans could basically wipe the whole of Equestria off the face of the earth.
We can wipe anything out.
I think that was that story. It might have been a different story, because I think 2 different stories have said that Equestria could be wiped off the face of the earth, because
there's a lot of stories probably like that, but I think we were actually supposed to be talking about grimdark stuff.
Well, it was kind of grimdark, because all of his people there died.
I do think we were getting a little off topic, though. Yeah, Pinkamena.
Yeah, hi.
Your point about grimdark, though.
What point was that? Did you remind me?
I'm trying to remember now.
That stage.
Okay, so
we brought up My Little Dash.
It was is it acceptable to have it on certain websites, and what are our thoughts?
Wow, we went off on a giant tangent.
That's all right.
Anyway, we do that on the show a lot. I will be surprised. Okay, the secret word for today, people, is Pokemon. Why not? No, that's too obvious.
It's way too obvious.
Pulchritudinous.
Okay. Ibanez. Ibanez is the word that you must type in if you've lasted this long into the podcast. Ibanez.
How the hell do you even spell that?
Ibanez. Ibanez. Which is, I probably just said that because my guitar is right
Actually,
here.
I think it'll be better, that'll be less of an indication of how many people are listening, because I have a feeling people are just going to be listening anyway. And more indication of how many people actually took our warning about, ducking out before we got into the subject.
Actually, we didn't actually go too terribly dark overall.
We have.
What do they win if they know what this thing is and type in the thing?
Awesomeness?
Okay. Isn't it a bit biased also because we did tell some of the younger viewers to leave, so they can't possibly have gotten...
Kids aren't awesome, so therefore it's fine.
Fair enough.
There's probably a few still around who say, I couldn't handle it. They're all crying in the corner right now. Anyways, was there anything else you want to bring up before we run away?
To do with Grimdark.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. As far as if Grimdark has a place or not, and where that place is, I would like it to stay safe away from the canon stuff, because I wouldn't be a brony if I didn't feel that I needed to isolate it from the canon stuff, because I'm a great lover of the show.
Yeah.
And I don't, it's kind of hard to get across in words, but I don't want to think about Rainbow Dash getting gutted open when I'm watching regular MLP.
Yeah.
I want to forget about all that stuff,
Yeah, no, I actually, that's a really good point. And I am a huge fan of
ponies.
Obviously, but I'm a huge fan of Fallout Equestria and Project Horizon and stuff like that. And as much as I'm in love with that setting and those characters and stuff, I would really probably not enjoy it at all if, in season 4 they started talking about constructing mega spells or going to war with the zebras. That's awesome. I love that stuff. I love it in the story, but I don't. I want it entirely separate from FIM.
Actually,
that'd be dreadful.
Yeah. What I wanted to mention was the comic series, which is like the story arc for the first one with Chrysalis kidnapping the CMC. The art style makes it look legitimately dark, and
it is legitimately dark.
It's legitimately dark, and it's creepy as hell.
Yeah, it is.
While it's creepy and while it's scary, and while it kind of gets that old, really kind of like the creepier elements of old school Disney, there's a difference between having something that's associated with a show that is scary and having something that's associated with a show that's just totally out of whack.
Yeah, exactly. I get that, but it's just also different going from that to...
No, it got grimdark. For sure it got grimdark. I was talking yesterday about an example in that very comic.
Oh, that's right, when Chrysalis killed a little thingy, whatever it was.
Yeah. He throws it right against the wall until it blows up.
It's like, what? Can you even include that in the comic?
Apparently so.
It was dark as hell.
Who would have thought it?
Either way, I enjoyed it. I love dark stuff, personally.
It was a great comic. But
I would also say, actually, on that subject, I completely agree with the whole keeping it separate. I quite like the idea that the universe of MLP could be slightly more... It might even enhance the realism of it if I thought that they still had real-world problems. But at the same time, I wouldn't want something like Cupcakes or Fallout Equestria to actually happen in the main canon universe, because I think that would completely ruin it. I think the idea and the reason I like all of these alternate universes where ponies have different levels of technology, they're in different ages, they do different things. The thing that I like about that is the fact that it isn't part of the canon thing, and you can go off into a different alternate type universe thing and see something completely different, but it won't affect the main running of the show.
No, it's a utopia as well. It's a utopia that you can just totally be absorbed into when you're watching the show, and it's a world where none of these bad things happen, and that's very liberating for a lot of bronies.
Oh yeah. I'd also like to point out their architecture is amazing. If Equestria was a real place and you could go there, I would spend so long looking around
the architecture
just for the architecture of that castle.
Yeah, certainly. Actually, this does kind of tie in a little bit, and sort of drawing this out a little bit into a slightly other thing we were talking about before with the The show really working best when it doesn't kind of include these elements. I remember talking, and I cannot for the life of me remember if it was with our usual co-host Joel Links, the Gothic hippie, or
he's not here sadly. He fell off an overpass like my
his
sister.
computer died. He's not dead. I can't remember if it was with Joel or if it was with Befallen Tragedy over at Fanatic Fiction. Plug. But
Plug.
yeah. But I remember one of them talking about, and it might have actually been both of them. But the thing is, I remember talking with one or both of them about the show, and them kind of talking about how they liked the fact that it was getting more mature, and like they actually at one point said, it's not really for kids anymore. Like
That'd
with
be
some
Joel,
of the
because
I think it was Joel,
didn't. Because BT didn't really care for the finale of the third one. He did. I don't know.
well, true. Well, no, neither of them did. It wasn't talking about the finale.
Well,
of the
yeah,
third
I
one.
know,
Just-
but I think it'd be Joel other than BT.
the show in general, just saying like, I like the fact that it's not really for like the show isn't really for kids anymore. Like it's much more mature and adult and stuff. And it's like it really isn't. It really is still for kids. It's
I don't understand that. I don't understand that myself.
I don't see.
I think we're just
any
comparing to what it was
particular
earlier.
I know, but TV shows develop anyway when the writers become more confident with what they're writing and what they know they can branch out a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't have said it's actually changed at all.
Yeah,
to be
and
honest.
the thing is, it's not more for older people now. It's still a family show, and it's what it is. It will stay a family show. At least I hope it'll just stay family show, not leave it just for kids. Like Disney. Disney isn't always just for older people.
Yes.
It's family is what it's about. It's family entertainment. All people of all ages can come and watch this and enjoy it.
The other thing is, like, even beyond being a family show, like it is a show that can be enjoyed by all ages. But part of the charm of it is the fact that it also is a show that is very much like the primary demographic. Even if it's branched out, the primary demographic has remained, kids. This is still a show that a kid can sit down and watch and totally be engrossed with and love and have nothing really horribly compromising happen, during the runtime.
Yeah, I sit down with my nephews and watch it all the time.
Yeah.
Actually, they're big My Little Pony fans.
Is it aired in Scotland then, or do you watch it online?
Well, I downloaded all the episodes.
Okay, fair enough.
So we watch that stuff, and whenever there's not a lot of gore in the recent post, I might give them a sneak peek of it. If there isn't any gore or violence, then I'll show them. But, they don't get to see most of it.
That's good. That is actually kind of cool, and I do like the fact that you're kind of getting involved with your nephews. That's very cute. It kind of reminds me of there's an American political comedian and talk show host called Stephen Colbert. He does a very funny show about he kind of makes jokes about politics and stuff. But apparently,
Is he from Maine?
he doesn't actually he shows it to his kids occasionally. Well, to his kid occasionally, but he actually doesn't show love it to him. Not necessarily because of content, but because he's afraid that because he plays this character, like he very much kind of plays up being this. Like on the show, he plays up being this very hardcore conservative when he's not. But he's afraid that his kid will watch the show and end up thinking that like every time he says like I love you when he puts him into bed, his son's just going to go like of course, sure you do. Because this sort of assume that he's always lying. That's.
My biggest fear is not spoiling MLP for any of my friends or family. Because I think that my stuff has the potential to do that if I showed them it.
I can see that.
Yeah,
but
once again, there has to be a distinction between fan and canon, which I kind of like. But also, the show and the fans themselves have a very interesting connection. The whole derpy thing was awesome.
We actually probably should talk about fan and canon in a different episode. It's a topic.
We're running at about an hour and 30 minutes right now.
Most of which has been part of this the second conversation.
Yeah, and my friends have come over and they're kind of waiting for me.
Yes. Well, Pinkamena, it has been a pleasure to have you on the show, and we'll probably try and get you back in future at some point.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
In future.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
It was a pleasure.
You're not
myself.
welcome.
Excellent. Well,
I'll see you soon.
all right, we'll see you soon. For the rest of us, from end to end, this has been Duhad.
I've been Cabral.
I've been asked Pinkamena.
I've been someone.
Lightning Rabbit. Yeah,
Yes, that's the
everybody, go to AskPinkamena.com. We are posting the link in the description.
Yes, and please get a life.
It'll have been there the entire time by the time you've listened to this, but, click it
The
out.
link will be appearing here. And here. And here.
And here. And here. Just have a bunch of links all over the screen.
And here comes extra work for me. And here.
All right.
All right. Anyway, gentlemen, it has been a pleasure, and we will see all the rest of you next time.
Goodbye.